There are buildings that stay open too late, places where the lights never fully shut off, where the security desk is empty for just long enough, where the sound of an elevator moving through the walls feels less like machinery and more like breathing. Most people think danger looks obvious: a scream in the hallway, a man in the shadows, a door hanging open where it shouldn't be. But sometimes the most dangerous thing in a building is something you use every day, something ordinary, something harmless, something that knows exactly where you live. This story begins in a 12-story office building downtown. At least, that's what the directory said. 12 floors, 12 businesses, 12 rows of buttons inside the elevator. But according to the woman who disappeared there was a 13th stop. And once the doors opened there, they never brought her back the same. Her name was Lena Morris, 32, assistant property manager for a law office that rented the entire 9th floor. The kind of woman people described as organized, dependable, impossible to rattle. She worked late more often than anyone else in the building. She knew the cleaning crew by name, knew which hallway lights buzzed, knew which stairwell door stuck in damp weather, knew the elevator on the west side always shuttered once, between floors 6 and 7. It was routine. That was the problem. Routine makes people stop noticing when something changes. The first time Lena mentioned the elevator, nobody took her seriously. It was a Thursday, just after 9:40 p.m. Most of the building had already emptied out. The cleaning staff had left the 8th floor. Yet security had done their usual walkthrough. Lena was the last one in her office, finishing invoices and replying to emails she didn't want waiting for her in the morning. When she finally packed up and headed home, she pressed the down button and waited. The hallway was silent. Then she heard it, the heavy groan of the elevator cables shifting somewhere above her. That didn't make sense. She was on the 9th floor. The elevator should have been below her. But the sound was coming from higher up, much higher, as if the elevator had gone somewhere above 12. Then the doors opened. Empty. Lights on. Soft music playing. Nothing unusual. At least, not yet. She stepped in, pressed L for lobby, and the doors closed. The elevator began to move. Down, then stopped. Lena looked up at the display. No number. Just a dim red dash. The doors slid open, and on the other side was a hallway she had never seen before. Later, when security reviewed the limited footage they had, they said Lena stood inside that open elevator for 11 seconds without moving, just staring. She would later describe the hallway as wrong in ways she couldn't immediately explain. It looked like part of the building. Same carpet pattern, same cream-colored walls, same overhead lights. But everything was older. The wallpaper was stained near the ceiling. The floor looked damp in patches. One of the fluorescent lights at the far end pulsed in a slow, sick rhythm. There were office doors on both sides, but none had numbers. No company names, no exit signs, no framed certificates, no sound. It's just a long corridor that looked like the building she worked in, after something terrible had happened to it. Lena said the worst part was the smell. Not rot, not smoke, just that stale, closed-in odor of a place that had been sealed up too long, mixed with something metallic beneath it, like old air and blood. She didn't step out the first time. The doors closed after a few seconds, and the elevator continued to the lobby as if nothing had happened. By the time she reached the ground floor, she had already convinced herself it was a service level. Maybe an old executive floor, maybe something used for storage. Maybe she had been tired, and the lighting made it seem stranger than it was. That's what routine does. It gives fear a reasonable explanation. So she went home, and that should have been the end of it. But the next night, it happened again. Friday, later than before, rain against the windows, the city mostly dark outside, Lena alone again. This time she almost took the stairs. Almost. But when you've spent months trusting the same elevator, Your hand reaches for the button before your instincts can stop you. She waited. The same sound came again. The cables groaning from above. The elevator descending from somewhere it should not have been able to reach. The doors opened. Empty. She got in, pressed L. The doors closed. The elevator went down 3 floors, then stopped. Again, the display showed no number. Again, the doors opened. Again, that hallway waited outside. Only this time, something had changed. At the far end of the corridor, under the flickering light, there was a woman standing with her back turned. Still. Too still. Long dark hair, bare feet. Office clothes hanging loose and damp against her body. Lena hit the closed door button immediately. Nothing happened. She pressed it again. 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 The woman at the end of the hallway did not move. Then, slowly, her head tilted, not enough to look at Lena, just enough to suggest she had heard her. The elevator doors finally began to close. Right before they met, Lena saw the woman's right arm lift slightly at her side, as if she had started walking. Lena stumbled into the lobby, shaking so badly she could barely get her keys out of her bag. That night she told the security guard. He laughed, not cruelly, just the way people laugh when they think exhaustion has started playing tricks on someone. He said there was no extra floor, no 13th level, no sealed office wing. Nothing above 12 except maintenance access and roof entry. Lena never fully believed him after that, because she had seen the hallway twice, and on the second night, something in it had seen her too. By Monday, Lena had stopped using the elevator alone. She timed her departures with other tenants, rode down with janitorial staff, waited for security when she had to. But fear changes people. It doesn't just frighten them, it pulls them closer. By the 3rd time, she brought her phone out and started recording before she stepped inside. She wanted proof, something she could show people before they smiled and called it stress. The recording was eventually recovered from her phone. The first minute was ordinary. The inside of the elevator, her breathing, the soft instrumental music overhead, yet her nervous laugh as she muttered to herself that she was being ridiculous. Then the elevator jerked. The camera shifted, the display went blank, and the doors opened. When investigators watched the footage later, several things stood out immediately. The hallway on the other side was darker now. Several of the fluorescent lights had gone dead. A door on the left side stood slightly open, revealing a black room beyond it. The carpet looked wet, not glossy, wet, like something had been dragged across it, and the woman from before was closer. Much closer, no longer at the far end of the hall, now standing halfway down, still facing away. Lena whispered, "No, no, no." Then something happened in the video that no one could explain. The woman in the hallway lifted one hand and pointed, not at Lena, but at the back wall of the elevator. Yet as if warning her, Lena turned the camera, and in the brushed metal reflection behind her, there was another figure standing inside the elevator. Tall, broad-shouldered, silent. Right behind her. The video cuts the moment Lena screamed. After that, the building finally took her seriously. Kind of. Management checked the elevator system. No faults. No undocumented levels. No maintenance anomalies. Security reviewed all accessible camera feeds. On 3 separate nights, Lena's elevator did in fact stop between floors, with no registered level on the internal system, but the camera inside the cab glitched every time. Static, image tearing, then nothing. When the feed returned, the elevator was already moving again. One security officer, Marcus Bell, claimed he heard voices over the intercom the same night Lena recorded the figure behind her. Not words exactly. More like a woman crying from a distance. He reported it, and the audio logs from the elevator system were pulled. Most of it was mechanical hum. Then, faintly, underneath the static, a voice, a woman's voice, weak, wet, shaking, repeating the same sentence over and over. "Don't let it close. Don't let it close. Don't let it close." Lena stopped staying late after that. For nearly a week, nothing happened. No phantom floor, no glitched display, no sounds from above, and for a while, everyone started pretending the problem had passed. Then came the final night. It was the end of the month, and Lena had been forced to stay late to prepare emergency paperwork for a lease renewal that had to be finalized before morning. She called her sister at 8:57 p.m. and said she'd be leaving soon. She joked about taking the stairs. Look, she sounded tired, but normal. At 9:18 p.m., a tenant on the 10th floor heard someone scream. At 9:19 p.m., the west elevator stopped responding. At 9:21 p.m., security reached the 9th floor and found Lena's desk empty, her bag still under the chair, her laptop open, her phone charger plugged in. They ran to the elevator bank. The doors were closed. The call button did nothing. Marcus used his emergency key to override the system. When the elevator finally opened at the 9th floor, it was empty, except for one thing, a single woman's shoe, wet with something dark around the heel. The security footage from the hallway showed Lena stepping into the elevator alone. No one entered after her. No one forced the doors. No one followed. But as the doors shut, a frame-by-frame review revealed something in the narrow gap just before closure. A hand. Pale, human-looking, hooking around the inner edge of the door from the inside wall, where no person could possibly have been standing, as if something had been waiting in the blind spot the entire time. The elevator was found hours later, not on one of the building's floors, not even within normal system alignment. According to the maintenance team, the cab had stopped in a dead zone between 12 and the roof access shaft, an impossible position, a place it should not have been able to hold. When they forced the doors open, there was no hallway outside, only concrete, only the narrow service shaft, only darkness, and yet the inside of the elevator looked wrong. The rear wall was streaked with long black smears, as if someone had dragged their hands down the metal trying to stay upright. The floor was damp. At one corner held strands of Lena's hair, tangled near the base rail. The ceiling camera had been ripped halfway out of its casing, but there was no body, no blood pool, no sign of where she had gone. Just one message, scratched into the inside panel beside the button marked 12. Not carved deeply, more like someone used a broken nail until their fingers split. 3 words. It opened again. The building never publicly acknowledged what happened. Lena was listed as a missing person. The elevator was replaced. The west shaft was closed for structural modernization. Tenants whispered, then moved on. That's what buildings count on. People forget. People keep working. People press buttons without thinking. But rumors stayed. A cleaning woman on the 7th floor reported hearing someone whisper, "Hold the door," when the hall was empty. And a delivery driver claimed the elevator opened to a floor full of dark offices and flickering lights before closing again. One woman quit after insisting she saw Lena standing inside the cab one morning before sunrise, barefoot, drenched, looking down, and when the doors opened fully, there was no one there. The strangest part came 6 months later, when the building updated its electronic directory system. During a software reset, a hidden listing appeared for less than 11 seconds before disappearing again. No company name, no suite number, just one line between floors 12 and roof access. 13. Restricted. The technician who saw it took a screenshot. He swore he didn't add it. Swore the system architecture didn't even allow for a 13th listing. By the time management reviewed it, the line was gone, deleted. Or maybe hidden again, waiting. Most people who hear this story focus on the wrong detail. They ask whether the floor was haunted, whether Lena died, whether there was a killer hiding in that building all along. But those aren't the worst questions. The worst question is this: how many times had that elevator opened there before someone finally noticed? How many people saw that hallway and said nothing? How many disappearances were explained away because the cameras failed, the records glitched, and the building kept pretending it only had 12 floors. And if that floor does exist, if it is still there, somewhere between what the building admits and what it hides, then maybe the most terrifying thing is not that the elevator can take you there. Maybe the most terrifying thing is that sometimes, late at night, when you are alone, and exhausted and not thinking clearly, it chooses you. So the next time you step into an elevator and the numbers stop making sense, the next time the display goes blank, the next time the doors open onto a hallway you've never seen before, do not step out. Do not look too long. And if you hear a woman inside whispering, don't let it close. Pray that it's still warning you.
If you thought that story was disturbing, wait until you hear what happened in this next one. Click the video on your screen now, and make sure you subscribe, because the next story might be even worse.